Hi guys, welcome back to the channel. So great news today, great news about UPenn and Trump's executive order. They have decided to comply. Who would have thought? Where it all began with the whole Lia Thomas, where they allowed this person to compete against the female swimmers, even into their locker room, allowing all of that to happen. So we've come full circle, where this university has agreed to comply with Trump's executive order, and even an apology is expected. So the Department of Education announced that the University of Pennsylvania has agreed to resolve Title IX violations related to allowing transgender swimmer Lia Thomas to compete on the women's team during the 2021-22 season. As part of the resolution deal, Penn will adopt definitions for male and female consistent with biological sex, restore stolen records and titles to female athletes, and issue personal apologies to each impacted female swimmer. Now, this is absolutely huge. Not only are they saying they're going to comply, they're going to try and correct the wrong that occurred retrospectively, restoring records, restoring titles to the female swimmers who missed out, who didn't get to stand on the podium. I always think about the swimmer who came second to Lia Thomas. She obviously was the rightful winner and she was denied a national championship. Emma Wayant at the 2020 Olympic Games, she won the silver medal in the 400-meter individual medley, and she won the bronze medal in the same event at the 2024 Olympic Games. So that's wonderful news. Lia Thomas tried to follow her to the Olympics. Can you imagine? But thankfully that was shut down. Paula Scanlan spoke about how she has suffered SA in the past, and having to share a locker room with this man re-traumatized her, as you can imagine. She has reacted to the news saying the following: "I'm deeply grateful to the Trump administration for standing firm in protecting women and girls and restoring our rightful accolades. It is because of their strong leadership that my alma mater now knows it has no choice but to begin the process of reforming its policies to uphold women's rights. Today marks a momentous step towards repairing the past mistreatment of female athletes and forging a future where sex discrimination no longer limits girls' potential."
Wow, that's the first thing I have to say about this. How many years of progress this is just fixing. There's so many women I'm looking at in this room that have fought so hard for so many years on this issue, and I'm grateful to be alongside many of you today. But more than anything, I'm grateful for this administration for taking this so seriously. I have quite literally gotten exactly what I voted for, and so I can't start before I address. I'm just going to share very briefly. I was a swimmer at the University of Pennsylvania. I know many of you have told this story, but we need to talk about why Penn is apologizing and why they were wrong. And I'm going to share what they did to me, and not just me, my teammates, the other girls competing against us. Riley Gaines, right here, who had to deal with this firsthand as well. The University of Pennsylvania told my teammates and I that we had to undress in a locker room with a 6'4" tall male athlete 18 times per week. In addition, he broke every record in every event that he swam, went on and won an NCAA championship title, and also every single time Thomas competed on behalf of the University of Pennsylvania, a girl on the team was asked to stay home. Upon the situation unfolding, many of us were unhappy with the situation, and so people tried to speak out about it. They sent in administrators, and they sat us down and they told us a few things. They said, first, don't speak out against this because you will be on the wrong side of history. They said you will be tainted by this. You will never be able to find a job. They told us that if we did not want this man in our locker room, that it was equivalent to not wanting to undress someone based on their race in the 1960s.
You saw at the end there, they were using segregation to justify allowing a man into a girl's locker room. How disgusting. Anyway, let me not get into all of that, but every time I hear about what these girls went through, it's like hearing it for the first time. I continue to be shocked and disgusted by what these universities did to these young girls. And for what? Makes no sense. But thankfully, they are now admitting that they were wrong. Whether it's because they're forced to do it, who knows? Either way, they are acknowledging it. And to be honest, I expected them to somewhat comply, drag their feet, but eventually comply, to a certain extent. But for them to say they're going to restore records, they're going to give accolades back to the rightful owners of these accolades, the rightful winners, that's absolutely amazing. I'm so happy for these female athletes. All of their demands are being met. All of their requirements are being met. And this is just the bare minimum. This is the least this college can do. The absolute least they could do. So the Department of Education's Office for Civil Rights ruled that the University of Pennsylvania violated Title IX by allowing Thomas to compete on the women's team, and this was back in April. Acting Assistant for Civil Rights Craig Traynor said at the time that Penn could face financial consequences if they don't comply. So this school was set to lose federal funding. It is a private school, but they do receive federal funds. And apparently in 2024, they received up to $1 billion in federal funding, according to WHYY. Unlike the state of Maine, which continues to fight the federal government despite also being found in violation of Title IX, Penn made the appropriate decision to stop allowing males to compete in women's athletics. Today's resolution agreement with Penn is yet another example of the Trump effect in action. Thanks to the leadership of President Trump, UPenn has agreed both to apologize for its past Title IX violations and to ensure that women's sports are protected at the university for future generations of female athletes. The US Secretary of Education Linda McMahon said in a statement. This is even more reassuring to know that moving forward, young girls will not have to go through what Riley Gaines went through, what Paula Scanlan went through. I mean, that was the biggest concern that we had. Today is a great victory for women and girls, not only at the University of Pennsylvania, but all across our nation. The department commends UPenn for rectifying its past harms against women and girls, and we will continue to fight relentlessly to restore Title IX's proper application and enforce it to the fullest extent of the law. So, Lia Thomas's records are going to be erased from the books, and the female athletes whose names should be there in the correct places are going to be put there. So McMahon said how important it was that the school apologizes to the female athletes, as well as acknowledging they're wrong. They need to apologize and, of course, make amends by restoring accolades and records. We wanted to make sure that it was emphasized that this was wrong and the university didn't take the right kind of action, and to apologize to these women for putting them in situations where they could have been hurt, or where they could have lost opportunity, or where they might have had their dignity impugned because they had to change in private spaces in front of males. So I think an apology was absolutely warranted. One of the big things that is happening with this resolution is that the University of Pennsylvania is going to restore all the Division I women's records and titles or similar recognitions to the women who actually did win them, save for competing against a man. And I think that is a really big thing. It absolutely is a really big thing. This is huge. So we still have ongoing investigations in Maine, California, Minnesota. California has been found to be in violation and they've only got a few days to comply now. But the Department of Education said we will be using this resolution as a model to go by. And a spokesperson for the University of Pennsylvania said the following. Yesterday, Penn and the US Department of Education Office for Civil Rights resolved a February 2025 investigation into Penn's compliance with Title IX for women's athletics. This is a complex issue, and I am pleased that we are able to reach a resolution through the standard OCR process for concluding Title IX investigations. Our commitment to ensuring a respectful and welcoming environment for all our students is unwavering. At the same time, we must comply with federal requirements, including executive orders and the NCAA eligibility rules. so our teams and student athletes may engage in competitive intercollegiate sports. And Riley Gaines said, this administration isn't just talking about women's equality, but instead actively defending it. I hope this sends a clear message to the educational institutions. You can no longer disregard women's civil rights. And to every female athlete, know this, your dignity, safety, and fairness matter, and our nation's leaders will not stop fighting for them. So this is absolutely wonderful news, very encouraging, and I believe it's a sign of things to come. So Trump's executive order, the threat of losing federal funding, is working. This is proof of that. So don't lose hope when we hear about Maine and these schools in these states that are resisting. This tells us that eventually we will get there. Eventually it will work. And can you imagine everything that Riley Gaines has been fighting for, everything that Paula Scanlan has been fighting for? I remember when she didn't speak out at first, it was very much Riley Gaines at the forefront. But then Paula said, you know what? I realized I had to say something. And her speaking out was not in vain. She must have been pretty scared to speak out initially because these girls were threatened. They were told that they wouldn't get a job, that they'll be accused of being bigots, even racists, because they were told that this was like segregation. But Paula spoke out, she shared her story, and look where we are now. These women are going to have their records restored to them, and rightfully so. So again, I'm looking forward to seeing the rightful winners' names where they should be. And I really hope that this encourages other schools and other universities, other states to follow suit and to do the same. Because you will be held liable for discrimination against women and girls if you continue to push this. So go and celebrate this wonderful news and let me know what you think. Thanks for watching. Like, comment and subscribe. Take care of yourselves and God willing, I will see you in the next video.